This shooting in Brooklyn Center comes as the state is continuing with its high-profile trial of Derek Chauvin. He's the former officer accused of killing George Floyd. The trial enters its third week today. The prosecution could rest its case in the coming days. Testimony last week was dominated by expert witnesses saying that Floyd died from a lack of oxygen, not the drugs and heart disease that Chauvin's attorney says are to blame. Jason is leaving our coverage on CBSN Minnesota. And Jason, any thought, any idea right now in talking to experts on what the police shooting in Brooklyn Center might have on this jury?
Well, theoretically, they should know about it, right, Heather? They're not supposed to be watching or reading the news, but they are allowed to watch TV. And so if they were watching TV last night, they almost certainly know what happened there. I think the bigger concern might be if unrest escalates. The judge certainly has the option to sequester the jury, putting them in a hotel. We don't know if there will be protests or what sort of activity would happen around the Hennepin County Government Center. So you may want to sequester them to keep them away from coverage. So far, there is a motions hearing happening right now in court, but that issue has not come up yet. So we'll keep an eye on that today.
And it's also possible some of the jurors could live in the communities that are affected by this.
100%.
Yeah.
Great point, Shayla. The jury all comes from all around Hennepin County. So there's a decent chance that one of these jurors lives in Brooklyn Park or Brooklyn Center and could certainly know or have seen some of the activity.
Right. What do we expect, Jason, to happen today in court?
Well, that's sort of what the hearing is about right now. We know that there's a cardiologist who was supposed to testify on Friday who is expected to start this morning. But defense attorneys were notified on Friday that the state wanted to call another use of force expert, this one an academic expert from the University of South Carolina. And the judge and the defense attorney talking, they're deciding whether or not this person will be allowed to testify. The defense is saying that it's cumulative, that it's like more and more and more. We get the point. So that's the hearing you're taking a live look at right now that's going on, where they're trying to decide that. If this person's allowed to testify, then we would expect the state to call one of George Floyd's relatives, kind of to finish up testimony with talking about George Floyd, the person, and then the defense would start.
And we know the big question for the defense is whether or not Derek Chauvin will actually testify.
Yeah, our legal expert, Joe Tamburino, thinks there are good reasons why he would testify and good reasons why he would not testify. If Chauvin could testify credibly that he's sorry or that he wouldn't have used that particular hold if he knew about George Floyd's medical history, he would have to talk about the crowd potentially distracting him. That seems to be a key part of the defense case. But on the flip side, imagine going frame by frame through all of this video and trying to come across as a relatable, likable person. Derek Chauvin is one of the most hated people in the country right now. And so it is hard to imagine him on the stand, but we will see.
We will. We should see sometime this week. All right, Jason, thank you. You can get the CBSN Minnesota app to follow along by scanning the QR code. That's the one on your screen right now. It is free to download. Jason is leading our gavel-to-gavel coverage with added analysis every day.